to anybody out there in Facebook world who is joining us live today. And also for those of you who choose to join us later on for the replay. We might not get to your comments quite as quickly as we will in the next hour, but we're still looking forward to connecting with those of you who kind of find us and comment on this video later on. So I'm pretty pumped for what we're doing here today. First, I'm thrilled that I get to spend time with both Jade and Greg. So thank you both for joining live today. And I'll just take a second to set the table about what Greg is going to take us through. So Monkeypod has an all-new course called the AI mini course. And the AI mini course starts to talk about how to use AI inside of your business, inside of your marketing automations, and focuses really specifically on the most up-to-date features inside of Keep, right? What is Keep made available for creating content and for predicting what types of automations and like all of the things that happen inside of Keep with their new innovations and new product expansion into AI. Now, Greg took care of building this course, creating the content, creating the Access Ally pages inside of our WordPress site, taking care of the email sequences that any of you are getting as a result of taking that course, taking care of the certificate that gets issued to you if you finish that course. And that's a lot of stuff. Like that's a whole bunch of like kind of little individual automations that have been strung together to create a more sophisticated experience for people who are coming through that AI mini course. So having Greg teach that to Jade and I was important anyway, but we thought, hey, if we're going to teach it to Jade and I, why not teach it to everybody, and you can kind of get an Inception style experience of like, well, I took the course, now let's see behind the scenes of how somebody like Greg builds such a course. But Jade, do you want to say anything before we give Greg an entire hour here?
I do. I want to say, what is...
Oh my gosh, I missed it.
...going on, Monkeypod family?
There you go.
That's all I want to say.
There you go.
Thanks, Jade.
Yeah.
And then Greg.
Yeah, thank you. You set the table perfectly. And so as I was thinking about producing some documentation for the mini course process for Cameron, I thought, this might be interesting just to do like a show and tell for everyone. So this will serve as internal documentation for Monkeypod moving forward, as well as just kind of a show and tell for all of you, or anyone who has interest in this. But basically, y'all remember, I'm sure, like in elementary school where Jade's kids presently are, when you would have like a show and tell, you could bring something in from home and like stand up in front of the class and like tell people about it. And so that's sort of what I envisioned here was like, I'm bringing this little mini course from home and I'd like to like describe to you all how proud I am of it and all the things that it does. So let's get this going. Before we dig into like the technical setup, I like to just sort of anchor with like real plain human language. What are we doing here? And the answer is like for our business, we want to use this mini course to capture new leads. And the strategic objective behind capturing those new leads is to guide them towards the Monkeypod membership, right? So like that is what we're setting up to do.
That membership's awesome.
Yeah, trust me, we will mention the membership several times here. So if you are not yet a member, consider this your formal invitation to join us in the Monkeypod Grove. But that's the strategic objective. Like I'll point myself out. I have launched lead magnets in the past that didn't have a strategic objective. And it just like you launch the lead magnet because you're excited about it, but you forget that it should be part of this broader experience. So that is lesson number one here, is an intentional continuity between what you are offering and where you want them to go. Now, here is a little caveat for us. I am not convinced that I have done everything perfectly correct here. So you're welcome to like make changes to my process or to question elements of it. My personal opinion is that it can be really helpful just to see what other people are doing and why, and then you can decide to mimic it or to adjust it from there. Now, from a real, like, simple, linear perspective, this is the process we were setting out to do. I always think it's helpful to map sort of like the customer journey, the experience we want them to have. So leads sign up, that's existing contacts in our database or anonymous traffic. They sign up through this landing page requesting access, and then we give them the access. The course content is hosted inside of our members area, which is a WordPress site with Access Ally handling the membership permissions. And they go through the course, and their progress is tracked using a feature in Access Ally called Progress Ally. And then once they complete the course, we do deliver a certificate, like Cameron mentioned, and we make recommendations about what to do next. If they're already an OG member, we just high-five them and say, hey, we'll see you in the group as you work on this stuff, ask your questions, take advantage of our community. And if you're not yet a Monkeypod member, it, of course, invites them to join the membership. So that's the process. Leads sign up, they get the course, and then we tell them what to do next. And it probably feels pretty simple. But there's a lot more, as Cameron alluded, happening behind the scenes than you might expect. So to take a process like that and to bring it to life, there is a framework that I have used in the past called Action Planning Framework. And I'm going to just walk through it with you all here so that you can see what it actually takes in order to launch a somewhat simple strategy and to bring it to life with all the moving technical pieces. Because I know that in the absence of like clear structure, ambiguity makes it feel cloudy and confusing and can be intimidating. I use a framework and I recommend this. It's basically STACTS, stacks. Strategy, tactics, assets, content, tools, and skills. So the way that this works, you can actually break it down using a grid like this. But once you get familiar with this, it starts to happen kind of more naturally or subconsciously. But I do think that this is a good way to take like a really ambitious idea and to bring it to life by giving it structure so that you know exactly what to fill in. So the strategy is what we are setting out to do. The tactics is how we will do it. The assets are what bring those tactics to life. The content is what supports and fills in those assets. The tools are how you produce the content, and the skills are how you use those tools. So I know that might feel like a little vague. So here is what this same framework looks like for the mini course that we are dissecting today. So strategy, tactic, asset, content, strategy, tactic, asset, content, tools, skills. The strategy is the highest level. We're capturing new leads. There's an extra word there, with, and convert them into members, with the goal of converting them into members maybe. And then the tactic, how we are doing this, is the mini course, the course delivery, and the call to action. So that sort of is the customer journey, right? And then how is the mini course lead capture component handled? Well, the assets are an ad, a landing page, and a thank you page. How is the course delivery handled? Access emails and then the LMS page inside the members area. How is the call to action handled? First, a certificate, and then the follow-up emails. Small distinction here, in case anybody was unclear, the FU in this particular instance stands for follow-up. And then the content that brings the ad to life, the copy, video, and form that bring the landing page to life. I'm not going to walk through every element here, but you get the idea of like, you get more and more granular. How did I build the video for the ad? Using Camtasia. That's my video editing software. And how did we launch it? With Facebook ads. What skills do we need? Well, you need comfort with Camtasia and you need familiarity with Facebook ads. So if you walk through any of these elements, it starts to give it like it starts to turn into a plan. And one thing I want to call out is that you might identify elements on your framework here that you're not good at. Like if you're not a copywriter or a graphic designer or a video editor or an ads person, like those might be skills that are necessary, but you don't possess. And that's fine. That just tells you that you need someone to wear that hat or someone to play that role for you. If you're not a WordPress person or you're not a Zapier person, like those are all things that you can bake into your process by tapping resources in your network or by asking our team, and we'll make recommendations and connections for you. But I like looking at this because it takes this sort of like ambiguous process and it removes the mystery and it increases the likelihood of it getting done. If you have ever had an idea and that idea for some reason didn't make it through to becoming a live launched process, odds are there was some surprise along the process that tripped you up or that caused friction, and it fell into that idea graveyard between ideation and launch where so many good ideas wind up going to rest. And so this tool is how you prevent scope creep, how you add structure to the process, and how you make a plan that improves the likelihood of your process getting launched. We do have a blog post on this for anyone who is interested in learning more about this process.
Can I comment on this, Greg, for a second? I have taken a ton of training from you, and both recorded and in person. And I have to say that like we're 10 minutes into your presentation, and I feel like we could stop now. We're not going to stop now. We're going to do the rest of it. But I actually don't recall seeing this particular framework before. What exactly did you call it?
It's action planning framework, which
action planning framework,
the sexiest name, but
if I recall, that was a while back.
Yeah,
and the granularity of it is very, very cool. Like I think that at first glance, if you start at the bottom, it would feel kind of overwhelming granular, but the practicality of there's a gap between what I know about video editing or the software that I've researched about video editing and my ability to launch a course, right? And so to work from top to bottom and then from like bottom to top to start to like shore up those pieces or give yourself like I'm great at that and I already have those tools. Like you said, that to cross that chasm between a good idea and an executed idea. So I didn't get a preview of your slides. I didn't know this was in here, and I think honestly, I really do appreciate this framework. I think it's a cool way to see it.
Mm-hmm. I originally published it in 2019. And I will give credit to a handful of people, Justin McDonald, Scott Richens, Paul Sokol. They were all on this team at Keep that sort of brought this to life and shared it with me. And I have embraced it. Like I said, I used it a handful of times, and now I sort of do it subconsciously. Like Cameron said, this might be your takeaway from today, and that's fine. Like you can use this structure and it will improve your understanding of and likelihood of success for launching any new project. I believe that wholeheartedly. What we're going to dig into next is like the mechanics of this particular project and how it set us up for success. Jade, did I cut you off there?
No, I was just excited. But if there's any reaction I have from this, it's that, I like that you called out like, oh yeah, it's granular, and oh, like now you realize what you might be able to delegate. But I think even more important, a lot of us, especially those of us who are like, let me buy all these cool tools, have a habit or a tendency to be like, I'm going to launch a course, and then you jump in and you just do the things as like, okay, I realize I need to do this, I realize I need to do this, and then it's not until you're like knee deep and weeks behind that you're like, well, maybe I should have hired this person to do that.
Totally.
So it's called action planning because you're planning ahead of time. I'm not super great at planning, so I love like that this is the call out to be like, oh, let's make sure it gets done right.
There you go. Well said. So let's transition into the actual building of this process. So to simplify things, basically what I had was the videos. I had the 3 videos that comprise this course. And then what let's assume if you're building a mini course or launching a lead magnet, let's assume that you have the core deliverable. So in my case, it was a 3-video progression teaching the concepts of the AI tools that Keep has introduced. And if you are interested in that, by the way, of course, this mini course it's brand new and live, and we would love for you to benefit from it. But here is the automation that I built in order to support this. You can see there are a handful of things going on here, but we're going to focus first on the section highlighted in orange up here, which is the registration process, the confirmation, the reminders to finish the email, and then to finish the course, rather. And then once they have finished it, it concludes and starts this bottom process. So let's begin with the mini course registration. So if you have used Keep's Advanced Automation Builder, you will recognize that this is actually a web form. And I did that on purpose because I wanted to embed the web form onto a landing page we built externally. But you could use Keep's landing page builder here as instead. That's totally fine. So I use a tool from Plus This called Modern Forms, which allows me to select the form that I create in Keep and just make it prettier. Okay. So if you are a Plus This user, they have this feature available, Modern Forms. It takes Keep's web forms and it just wraps them up in a tuxedo and makes them look good. It gives you some styling options as well, but that's a tool that I have fallen in love with and have used for processes like this. And then it also, I should point out, allows me to use Keep's affiliate tracking. So we'll get to that a little later, but Monkeypod has a partner program, and we want our partners to be able to send traffic to this page and have those leads tracked back to the partner who sent them. And so using the native web forms allows that to work, and Modern Forms works perfectly with that. So that's why we used Modern Forms in this process. If you don't yet have Plus This, or you're interested in that, you can check it out at tryplusthis.com. But we are big Plus This fans. I use a handful of their features. We'll get to one more in a little bit here. So I mentioned I had the content. That was the course, part 1, part 2, and part 3, and then also a little promo video. And we hosted all of those in Wistia. Wistia is a video hosting platform. So in order to build the landing page, I knew I would need the promo video hosted in Wistia. So we went ahead and got all of that uploaded here. And you could use Vimeo or you could use YouTube. Because this course is gated meaning they have to opt in to get access, we use Wistia because that way the videos are private. They're not shared publicly. People can't access them. And it's just pretty. It has a nice embed code. It looks good, and we can do some style options as well. But if you don't have Wistia or don't want to pay for Wistia, you could use YouTube and have your videos unlisted. Or you could use YouTube and have your videos public, and that way you get more traffic out of them, but maybe less leads, right? That's a trade-off that you can decide on. But we use Wistia, at least for now. At some point in the future, if we decide that this course has done its job and we just want to give the content away for free or without opt-in, we might also put these videos on YouTube. So here is the landing page we built. It's actually built in, I used lead pages. Because we have a lead pages account, because I know the lead pages builder, and then I just embedded the modern form directly onto the lead page. So lead page is a landing page builder tool. If you don't have lead pages, you 100% could use Keep's landing page builder. The choice for me was not meant as a knock on Keep's landing page builder. It's just because we have lead pages already. I've got other pages there, so I could clone a template. It's just in my muscle memory. And we have a WordPress plugin for lead pages that lets us wrap the URL really simply. So if you wanted to use another tool, you could. This is the thank you page. So after somebody submits this landing page, they're signing up for the course. And that landing page, by the way, looks like this. If you want to see the whole thing, we've got the agenda, and then we have the form down here a second time. So they can opt in. And then when they submit it, they see this. Hey, nice work. Check your inbox in a second for the email. If you don't see it, check your junk folder. That's a little pro tip on the landing page confirmation. I like to tell people exactly what to look for and where, because if this is the first time we've connected, it might be in their junk folder or promotions tab. And then when they're ready, they can log into the course here. And of course, we are getting out in front. This actually shows up after a delay. So if they're on this page for 15 seconds, then this Monkeypod membership promo pops up. But we want to make it really abundantly clear that if they want more help, they can get that in our private community. Which, if anybody is interested, is ogmembership.com. I told you, Jade, there would be ample opportunity for us to shine a light on that. So that is the thank you page that they see. So if you look at a timeline, we're walking through chronologically the experience that people have. Landing page, thank you page, and then they're going to receive an email, which is where we're going next. So I said this, but...
Craig.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry to interrupt. I thought I could mention here that last little segment covered a lot of product, right? We talked about lead pages, we talked about WordPress, we talked about Wistia versus Vimeo,
Yeah.
and all of those types of things. And I think that that's kind of a cool thing to shine a light on in this particular approach. Like, there's a different approach which is probably, perhaps a little bit easier but also more limited in terms of like preferences and functionality. The more limited approach would be to do something where you're just all on one platform all the time, right? Maybe you
Sure.
sell on Thinkific, you serve, you do everything on one platform as opposed to many. But I think what's cool about the way you've built this one is that you have your reason for enjoying Wistia, your reason for liking lead pages. I like that lead pages is on our WordPress site. So if you wanted to build a really robust, complicated page, you would use the WordPress builder. But if you want to copy an old course landing page and spin up a new one quickly and have
Yes.
that thank you page flow make sense, then right inside of our WordPress plugin, being able to use our domain, somebody who sees that slash page, slash AI and keep page, doesn't have to know that this is a kind of cool mashup of those two products, but you have your reason for liking those two products. I I hope that viewers, either live or later, can see that, like, I think that having us or Greg teach you one path is great because you can see end to end. And then also that it's okay for you to design inside of your organization your one path by saying same, except that we're going to use
Yeah.
shop form instead of plus this forms, right?
Right.
And that's what I think is really cool about buying. This is a whole different webinar, but buying like best in class versus all in one, right? Lead pages does lead pages. It's
Yeah.
perfect, right?
I
So yeah, back to you. But I just wanted to comment about, like, okay, there's so many products so quickly there. It's
yeah.
because we've really embraced a best in class type of approach as opposed to an all in one type of approach, right? I want to use the
Yes.
tool I want to use for this part.
And I know that like you could spend all of your time vacillating between options, exploring and researching and testing all the different tools out there. Like, but you got a business to run. And so sometimes it's easier to just say like, hey, what do they use? Or what do, and so that's part of why I make these recommendations is like, I'm not saying that there aren't other options. Of course there are. But sometimes people just want to know, like, just tell me what to do. Tell me what you used, and I'll just follow in those footsteps because we know that it works. So, as Cameron mentioned, here is the Lead Pages WordPress plugin. So, here's how it works. You basically go to add a new page, and then when you do, you get to select from your landing pages in lead pages. So down here, I would say, okay, cool. Where is my AI mini course? There it is. And then you define the slug you want. So because I'm on my core monkeypodmarketing.com site, you choose the URL. And then you click publish, and that's it. And then that URL just takes people to this. You can see the URL up here. It works. So it's just one small thing that makes it a little easier for us to be able to give people a branded URL that builds trust for them. So that's why we do that. But like Cameron said, if you use another tool there, another landing page builder, or Keeps landing page builder, or a form builder, all of that's fine. Okay, so lead pages, there you go. Familiarity, ease of use. So after somebody signs up, let's switch over to the Monkeypod account here. So after somebody signs up, they're going to get an email right away. Here's what that email looks like. Your mini course access is ready. Go ahead and log in, get started. And in the first video, it's going to ask you these questions. So go ahead and think about those ahead of time. I do want to be clear that, like, originally I didn't have this section in the copy. But somebody going through the course pointed it out, and they were like, hey, I got stuck in the first module because it asked me these questions and I didn't have answers to them. It might be helpful to give people a heads up. And I thought, of course, that's a great idea. So we added those questions into this email to help people. And the only reason I call that out is because, like, that's the benefit of version 1, is like you figure out the things that you missed. And version 2 is just a quick pivot here to let people access the or get those questions ahead of time so that they could answer those questions. So let's jump back into the campaign. So that is here. that confirmation email. That's what they get right away. And then if they finish the course in the next like 10 minutes, they'll achieve this goal and complete this whole section. But if they don't finish the course right away, they'll transition into here where we have a handful of reminders every few days, just nudging them to go back to the course and spend time with that content. So this is what those reminders look like. Unless my fancy pants automation is failing me, blah, 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 jump back in. And then, hey, here's that course. That's, signing up is half the battle, but make sure you go back and finish this course. So just reminding people to jump in there and take advantage of the content, right? And this is, at the very core, this is the benefit of automation, is building your contingency plan. Ideally, somebody would sign up for this course, they would get access, and then later that same day they would finish it, right? There's only an hour worth of content here, so we would love it if they ran right through that content, but not everyone does. In fact, we're seeing about a 10% completion rate on this course right now, which is not terrible for free online courses, but obviously there's room for improvement. And so modifying or including these reminders helps us increase that conversion by circling back to people, right? And you can build this for any process in your business, right? When you build contingencies or reminders, you're building it for the people who need the most time, like the people who are going to be the slowest in that given process, right? And so that's what those additional reminders are for, is just to help nudge people back to the content that they said that they would want. Now, once they click into the course, it looks like this. So they they land on this page. They can watch the first video, check it off as complete, watch the second video, check it off as complete. I think I have... Nope. There it is. Have it open here. So as they're watching these videos, they can, adjust the speed. They can add closed captions. They can mark it as complete as they work through the content here. Those little progress checkboxes are an Access Ally feature. It's actually called Progress Ally, that allows you to track the progress somebody is making with these little checkboxes on the page. And we do have permissions controlled by Access Ally as well. So if they try to navigate to this page but don't have the right access, either being an OG member or having registered for this course, it's going to instead bounce them to a different page. So this is an Access Ally feature where if somebody doesn't have the appropriate permissions, you can instead steer them somewhere else. So that's where this page comes in. Hey, looking for the AI and Keep mini course? No problem, just click below to unlock it. And that feature, this little click to proceed button, is another Access Ally tool called Custom Operations. Custom Operations. And what it does is it gives you the ability to create a button that tags them inside Keep so that it updates their permissions and redirects them back to the course. So if somebody doesn't have access, they're going to see this button, and instead of taking them to a landing page where they have to subscribe, all they have to do is click that button, which is going to tag them, take them back to the course, and of course achieve... Nope, it won't achieve this because there's no tag entry point there, but that's neither here nor there. So there's the custom operation to give them access to this course. And then when they mark the final module as complete, that is what will tag them down here as finished. So Access Ally allows you to set up those Progress Ally checkboxes, and when they complete them, here we go, when the objectives are completed, they get this AI mini course completed tag, which is what we are listening for here, AI mini course completed, and down here, AI mini course completed. And the reason I have these separate, right, is because I wanted to visually separate this process, like the course and then the course completion, just for our own mental sanity, but also it's possible that they might complete the course without having officially registered for it. Like if they are an OG member and they have access organically, or they access it through through this process, then they wouldn't have received the confirmation email, but I still want them to be able to get the certificate. So that tag is what triggers this certificate process. Now, I'm going to get into the certificate creation process, but we do have a blog post that documents that as well. There are a handful of ways to do it. In fact, I believe Here we go. Actually, Access Ally does have certificates. We happen to use Zapier to create them, but this is a feature in Access Ally that I didn't know about when I devised the Zapier recipe. So if you are an Access Ally user, actually we have a blog post on Access Ally as well that we will share if you want to learn more about that tool. But if all you want is the Zapier certificate process, let me steer you in that direction. So in order to create the certificate, I want to be able to add their first and last name. But you might recall that our opt-in is only asking for the first name. So if they are a new lead, I wanted to branch them off here and say, hey, we actually need your last name in order to send you a certificate. And so that's what this decision diamond is checking for. If they have a last name, we just create the certificate. If they don't have a last name, we ask them for it. And I'm just using a legacy landing page, a native Keep legacy landing page, just to allow them to update their name here. And then here's the Zapier process. I'll jump over to Zapier. It's initiated with a webhook, which is my favorite way to trigger Zapier, by the way. And then it uses Google Slides to create a presentation from a template. And the template has like merge values in it that you can populate with information from the contact. And then it updates the contact in Keep by sending the PDF URL back to the contact in a custom field. And then I just have a couple of steps in Zapier to organize those files. As people are going through this course, as certificates are being created, I'm using Zapier to put those into a common folder to keep my Google Drive as tidy as possible. Here's what the template looks like in Google Slides. If you've used Google Slides a little bit, you can design this however you want. The key is putting these curly bracket placeholders in there. And then when Zapier integrates with Google Slides to create a template or to create a copy of that template, it recognizes those as merge fields. Okay, so it creates a certificate, and then it notifies Keep by tagging them with certificate ready. I had to create separate tags, AI and Keep certificate ready, because I do use this process for all of our mini courses. So that's why we have a separate tag there. But once the certificate is created, then it drops them into the completion process, and that's where we get into the final section here of the automation. Here's that screenshot I was looking for. So
can I jump in for a second? Before you step away from the certificate, I just want to say that it is one of the coolest, most versatile, and underused tricks that Greg has ever shared in a blog post. I've used this to generate documents, to make copies of applications, to send compliance approvals, merging in details. I mean, like, this is such a versatile tool. He just happens to use it in a slide to make a picture, but you can use it in documents. You can use it in any Google form. What's form? Not form with a capital F, but any kind of Google.
Yeah.
It's well so said. Cool. Check it out. Let your imagination run wild.
It might be, I have to check the analytics to see if this is true. It might be the single most popular blog post that gets shared and reshared out there. And it makes me think about the whole, there's some layers to this, because a few minutes ago you said
2018 is when it was
2018. You said, well, Access Ally can make certificates too. And, I think that that's kind of an important point in this whole experience, as well as a couple of points. One is that all of these different software companies, whether it's Keep or Access Ally or Vimeo or Wistia or Lead Pages, they're constantly iterating their products as well. So in 2018, Monkeypod might have been a Access Ally user. Doesn't mean that Access Ally had that feature then. And I sometimes, because of the whole shiny object syndrome of this type of workspace, it's easy to think, oh, well, now I could dismantle that whole thing I've got because a new feature came out. And I like that we've embraced not doing that, right? It's running, it's working, it's good. Just because it became a popular feature in a platform years after we had to do a different mechanism doesn't mean that we should burn, development energy or rebuilding energy on changing that up. That's one layer. The second layer is that if you let your learning management system send your certificate, you might not have the power. Jade was just, excited about the merging into Google workspace, uh, if you got a professional designer to go into InDesign or Photoshop or Illustrator and create that slide master, and then you import that into your Google Slides and know all I need to know how to do is put those squiggly brackets in, the design is going to be miles ahead of maybe what like the default is. So I think this is a cool example of like in 2018 this might have been a workaround, but in 2024 it's still the most personalized way it could possibly be done. So I think that that's kind of cool that it's okay to say we have two things that can do this now. It's
Yeah,
okay to choose to not use one of those two things. And one more thing before we give you the microphone back, Greg,
that's okay.
the using webhooks instead of tag triggers or anything else. Even before Jade and I know as much about each other as we do now, I feel like you've been advocating for that for years, right?
Yeah.
Use webhooks. Webhooks are stable. They work well. They're versatile. And so yeah, when I heard you say it's my favorite way, I was like, it's actually Jade's favorite way. So
Would you
that's
believe I
that's
have a blog post on that one as well? Yeah, and this one is 6 years ago with almost 1,000 views. It's this covers the why, but it is immediate, and you get custom control over what information is sent. I just Zapier has a limited number of triggers and also sometimes a delay. So this has been more reliable and superior. And if you can get over like the acronym feeling technical and confusing, it's a pretty straightforward process. AI mini course. Yeah, so we deliver the certificate. Hey, you completed it. Let's see if we can show that. Here we go. Did Greg really make me a personalized, totally awesome certificate? Sort of, but really we didn't. And then we show people how to do it for themselves. But here's the link to their certificate, which is just stored in a custom field. Shout out to Lindy, who recently completed this course. I don't think she would mind. She's probably asleep. She's on the Gold Coast or Sunshine Coast. She's on the Brisbane area in Queensland, Australia. But she recently completed this course and is a superstar and one of the very, very first Monkeypod OG members. Which, by the way, if you're not a member, you can join us at ogmembership.com. That's plug number 4 or 5. We're getting there. But here is, speaking of plugs, oh man, what a segue. Here is the call to action for the membership. So in that course completion, immediately we say, here's what we recommend next. And this is dynamic content. If they're already an OG member, that's tag ID 659. As an OG member, you've got access to the Monkeypod Grove. Remember to ask questions as they come up. We've got your back. But if they aren't an OG member, it says, I'm guessing you understand the value of user automation throughout your customer journey, but from time to time you might get stuck. That's okay. Join us here, right? And invites them to join the OG membership. And then there is, I think, a second email a few days later if they haven't yet joined us, where it says, the other day you wrapped up this mini course. It links them to their certificate again. And then ideas for what to do next. Here are some replays from the Keep Academy platform. And as a savvy OG member, you've got access. Or if you're not yet a member, if you ever get stuck, join us in the group to ask these questions. Take care, that's it. Here's that certificate. So this process, the post-course process, is both congratulating them and bridging them forward towards becoming an OG member. And then this sequence here is just for internal tracking. We got some tags happening in there so that we can measure if people convert from this process. So that is the post-course process with the bridge forward. This is our order form that we guide them toward. That's part of this process as well. If you go back to the very, very beginning, is having like, what does that call to action look like? And where are we going to send them? And what built that page? We use Spiffy for Infusionsoft, which is the name of the product for these order forms, but you could use whatever you like. Part of the reason we have stuck with the Spiffy for Infusionsoft product is because of that affiliate tracking. We want our orders to happen natively so that if a partner has sent traffic, they earn the commission from that. So if somebody is recommending Monkeypod, we want to be able to say thank you by writing them a check or sending them a PayPal payment or flying Jade in to buy them coffee and lead them on a all-night dance party. Who knows? Okay, speaking of Jade, look at that smiling face. This is one of my favorite pictures. I was going to say of Jade, but maybe just favorite pictures, period.
That's what
This
it
is
looks like when I show up to your house and I announce that
That's
we're
it.
having a
That's
dance
it.
party.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, yeah.
Imagine this walking up your doorstep, right? But instead of a microphone, she's holding a tray of tacos. Okay, so now we've built all of the different components, right? All of this stuff exists. We've talked through the structure and the mechanics of it. So the next phase here is we want to get this out into the world. And I know how obvious this sounds, but you have to remember to launch. Like, so many marketer friends of mine like publish something and they're like, okay, we're done. And you just have to tell the world about it. And that's like the last piece of the puzzle. But for some reason, we oftentimes just expect people to find it or to know. My very first course I launched in 2015, I just like forgot to tell people. I was like, okay, it's live. And I just waited for them to find it. Like I'm hoping they're gonna stumble onto it. But you need to get out of your own way and announce it to the world. So here's what we did. Sent a handful of broadcasts. When we launch things, we always give access first to the OG members. The OG members are the people in the Monkeypod Grove. You can join that group at ogmembership.com, but they always get early access to everything from Monkeypod. So that email went out on the 20th, and you can see a handful of people capitalized on that. In this particular scenario, we basically sent the next email the very next, or actually 2 days later, the 22nd. So Monkeypod members got access, and then we invited the rest of the Monkeypod audience. Well, not a segment of the audience. There were only 600 or 700 people there because we chose people who had engaged really recently. So that's a combination of Nurture subscribers, blog subscribers, Monkeypod partners, etc. So we basically just invited people to jump in there. And I like to do, before I do any paid traffic, I always try to invite our existing audience. And part of that is to find the wrinkles, is to like kick the tires, find where things are clumsy, find where things could be improved, look for like that feedback we got about inserting content or those questions in the first email. Those types of improvements you oftentimes can get by including like a soft launch to your existing audience. So that's why we do that. And then once I felt confident in the course, we set up a referral tracking link and we sent a message to partners. And we said, hey, we're reaching out because we just launched a new mini course. We've got a referral link if you want to share it with people. It's under an hour in total. Plus, how cute is that little robot guy? Very cute is the answer. And then obviously the course is free, but if people go on to join the OG membership, then they can earn commission from that. So sending traffic there. If you are not familiar with Keep's referral partner tracking program, it's only available in Max Classic or Ultimate, the higher, more robust versions of the software. But it's a good way to reward people who are promoting your services or recommending your products. So we set that up as part of our promotional strategy. Modest results so far. 166 clicks. That's pretty good. We've got some partners who are definitely sharing this. But only 4 opt-ins. I'd like to see that be a little higher, and no orders yet from that group. So, but that's the benefit of like setting up this tracking is you can gauge like how productive is it. And I only sent it. Monkeypod has like 250 referral partners. I think I sent it this to like 50 because the vast majority are totally inactive. It's people who have said, I love Monkeypod, but they've never really done any promotion of any kind. So while their heart might be in the right place, I didn't want to spam them with something that might not be useful for their audience. So here's the tracking on that. And then we shifted gears to social promotion. So I've got a Facebook post here, Twitter or X rather post there, and a LinkedIn post here. So slightly different verbiage and video here, which Cameron and I discussed putting some money behind. So we decided the Monkeypod ads account has been pretty dormant for a little while, and we decided this was an opportunity to try revitalizing that, boosting the post to a little bit of a controlled audience just to see what happened. So I'll get to that in just a second here, but I think it's important to share across platforms. I'm not super active on LinkedIn or Twitter, but of course there are people there, and so we want to make sure that we're putting this out wherever people could find it and benefit from it.
I want to ask, even a few slides back and into social, both your emails and your social. I when we're talking about certificates, and you were reading that bit of copy that said, like, did Greg create a personalized certificate just for me? Well, kind of. Um, for those who have followed the life cycle automation, the life cycle marketing version of the way this type of strategy has been taught, that feels like a little wow to me. Like, it feels like it's got nothing to do with the AI course. It's got nothing to do with the original promise made. Um, but it was this little, 1 to 2 paragraph, or one paragraph, 3 sentence opportunity to like sprinkle in a little bit more, one, value, and two, um, attention, retention. What's the word I'm looking for? Like, one more thing that they can go and look at as it relates to their relationship with Monkeypod. So like, as I watched you show that slide and then also read that sentence out, I was like, oh, that's a super practical application of that impress and multiply
Yeah.
wow stage that I think sometimes people, like, when you teach it conceptually, sounds really easy, and then when you sit down and like, but what am I going to do that's beyond the
Totally.
value that was promised, can be really challenging. And that's like a ridiculously, again, kind of that Inception the movie kind of layer. So I thought that was really, really nicely done.
Thanks.
And the
Let,
dynamic
let me let me
content part is
react. Hold on.
fascinating too.
Let
Yeah.
me react to that. And when you're doing anything in part of these processes, right? Whatever you're doing fits into one of two buckets. It is either essential or it is enhancing, right? And I think it can be really helpful to make that delineation, essential or enhancing, because sometimes you just have to focus on what's essential, giving them the access, right? Creating the core content. But the value of enhancing is enriching the customer experience, is exceeding their expectations. And the certificate itself is 100% enhancing. It is not essential, right? These certificates are not credential bearing, they're just fun, right? And
Just fun.
Marjorie mentioned she likes them, right? And I do too. Like, I think it's just a cool connection piece. And honestly, like, I wouldn't do this if I had to go create them manually. But because of automation, the constraints change. It allows us to do those enhancing things without having to manually fulfill on it. So I think that's an important distinction for people, is essential versus enhancing. And enhancing might feel unnecessary, but if automation's doing it, who cares? Okay, you
Right.
were going to say something about dynamic
No,
content?
and that enhancing versus essential, I think, is really helpful as well. Like, we have a project going on right now that is having that challenge, right? Because we're like, okay, there's some opportunity, there's some speed, there's some, like, the whole minimum viable product thing is
Yeah.
actually really, really important. And one of the things that we were talking about is this client of ours is like transitioning from one product to another, is like, where are the bad experiences going to be? Like, if they buy a product and they
Yeah.
don't get the password as a new user to the learning site to use that product, then that's so essential and a measurably bad experience. So of course you need to overcome those essentials. But yeah, I love the way you've framed this idea of enhancing, that it's not costing us anything more.
Yeah, if
One
you're
one zap run, two zap runs, and a little bit of intention and time and planning, like, it has created that extra bit of value in there, which I think is pretty cool.
I know that there are a lot of people like, well, I know that the three of us have a lot of similarities, and I know that there are other entrepreneurs who this will resonate with as well. But like, when it's 10:30 at night and you're sitting at your desk and you've got like the right level of light so you're not overwhelmed, but it's not complete darkness, and you're like grinding away and it feels like your to-do list just keeps growing, that's when you ask, is the thing I'm working on essential or enhancing, right?
Right.
And if it's enhancing, just put it in the parking lot and get the first version live. For the first version should be the essential things. And then you can go back and include the things that enhance it, right? You could always make it better. But if you wait until all of those enhancing things are done, you might never launch, right? And so that's the
Absolutely.
benefit of essential versus enhancing, in my opinion.
Right.
The
Jade,
every
yes.
every enhancing thing I've ever learned was in the OG membership.
Wow. And where would people sign up for that if they were interested in the OG membership?
OGmembership.com.
There you go.
Boom.
Okay, so here are the ads, or the social posts, rather. The Facebook one is the one that we boosted. And Cameron and I will be the first to say that neither of us are ad experts. So this was very exploratory, and we are just kind of testing the waters. But there haven't actually been any conversions from this yet. No purchases yet, but you could be the first. But we have had 8 brand new leads. We've had 51 people register and only 5 people, like I said, about a 10% completion rate. So there's definitely room for optimization here, but I find that sometimes you just have to get started, and then you can work on incrementally making those improvements. How do I get those conversion numbers up? How do I get this cost per lead number down, etc.? Now, I will say that I was chatting with Paul Sokol, who does do a lot of ads, and he's been seeing about $20 cost per lead numbers. So maybe 13 isn't terrible, but I know that like whenever you set a benchmark, the goal is not to make judgments of yourself, but then to work on making it better. So that's where we are headed with this. And then once we got it live and got the post boosted, the post boosted, that one. You can go ahead and flip that if you need to. Then we decided to also get like organic visibility, right? So not just promoting this, but like how could people stumble onto this? So inside the Keep Academy, let's see, inside this page, we added it to the mini courses. So it should be here, where people could organically stumble onto it if you are navigating around in the members area. It's also on our website, our core website, in the mini courses section here. So we started to include like, posts and links to it. In fact, we also wrote a blog post about some of those features. And then if people want to learn more about them, the blog post, you better believe, has a link that takes you out to sign up for the mini course there. So we started driving traffic to it from paid promotions, social posts, as well as linking to it from the organic traffic. And I know, like I said, I've said this a handful of times, but like I know it feels obvious, but this is stuff I have missed before, where you launch something and you promote it, but you don't add the link to your website. You don't add it to your menu. And if you want people to be able to find and access this, it's important that they are able to find and access this. So that is a lesson I have learned, and the changes that we made. Now, the summary is really short here. There's a lot of tools that we used. Camtasia for video editing. Wistia for video hosting. Pixlr is a free Photoshop type tool, pixlr.com, that I use almost every day. They do have a paid version, but they give you up to 3 images that you can generate on a specific day. So I usually use Pixlr for simple graphic design, like blog post headers, the little robot guy I created with Pixlr, lead pages for landing pages, modern forms for opt-in styling. WordPress was the members area site. Access Ally is the members area permissions. Progress Ally is the completion objectives. Zapier creates the certificates. Google Slides is the certificate template. Keep does a lot. The automation, the emails, the order processing. Spiffy does the order form styling. Facebook ads was the paid traffic. And plus this does not only the modern form, but also allows us to dynamically update our Facebook audiences. So if somebody signs up for this course, we can stop promoting the ad to them. If somebody signs up for the OG membership, we can stop promoting that to them, right? So that's another Plus This feature. If you don't yet have Plus This, you can check it out or start a free trial at tryplusthis.com. I like to walk through all these tools, not to like pat myself on the back, but just to like illustrate that this relatively simple process, it takes a lot to bring it to life, right? And so if you feel intimidated or overwhelmed, like give yourself some grace. There's a lot of moving pieces here. Now, we could do this simpler. We could do this in a more streamlined fashion. We could, skip the members area and just give them YouTube videos. We could skip the modern forms and lead pages and just use a Keep landing page, right? There are elements that we could use to trim this down, but I wanted to like pull back the curtain on the intentional choices we have made to bring this process to life, because I think that the customer experience benefits from a lot of those choices. Now, this was the original sort of simplistic slide I used at the beginning, articulating where we wanted this process to go. You might have noticed as we dug into it, it wound up a little bit more like this. Traffic, to opt-in, to access, to progress, to finish, and then the call to action for what we want them to do next. Now, in addition to being a visually masterful slide here, this is also an encapsulation of what customer journey mapping looks like, is thinking through the experience you want your customers to have, milestone by milestone, and then using automation to build the bridges between those milestones to help as many people as possible make as much progress as possible. So that's pretty much it. If you have questions, we are happy to hang out for a little bit and answer them. If you are an OG member, we will see you back in the Monkeypod community. And if you are not yet an OG member, consider this your invitation to join us. But Jade, yeah, go ahead. What did I miss?
Oh, I was gonna say not to make it, the seventh, but it could be the seventh plug. OG membership is like hopping this week. It's Thursday, and there are posts in there every single day. But like this week, kind of across the globe in all time zones, it seems like there's stuff going on in there, which I thought has been pretty cool. Loom videos. Just in the time that we've been up here, I've seen 2 people post some Loom videos of stuff they want some help with. So
Sam signed up yesterday and immediately was like hot and heavy with a flurry of questions. So I love to see members mixing it up in there. It is my favorite part of the business. I'm super proud of it. I don't need to belabor that point anymore.
And the thing I wanted to say, for those watching, like this was a genuine teaching opportunity from Greg to Jade and I, as well as to all of you, because so much of this is like not just the process of developing a course, but developing this course that looks and feels like Monkeypod is something that's kind of overwhelming when you need to step into a brand that's existed for longer than our relationship, right? Like Greg and I and Jade and everyone in this, whatever order of this triangle we talk about, have known each other for a long time, but because of Monkeypod, right? So to have to be helpful and spread the workload of building these courses, but also think, but I want it to look and feel like Monkeypod, is a really important kind of transfer of knowledge. So I know I learned a lot today. One of the things that I'm observing or reflecting on too is that your slide at the end followed that zigzag of the customer's experience, but the beginning talked about your experience, right? I needed the videos first. But the customer doesn't need the video first. The customer needs the traffic, like the awareness first, right? So the fact that those parts followed a path of traffic through to finishing in CTA for them, but like a product idea and a video through to a Facebook ad for you, it's the same stuff, but it's notably different in order. And I enjoyed watching kind of that transformation happen.
That's a good call out. I wanted the content we walked through to sort of give people a process that they could follow for building something similar for their business. And that's why I did traffic at the end, right? Because you don't start with traffic. You don't have a landing page yet, So I started by building out the different elements and then finished with the launch, the promotion, the traffic. But you're right. That's not the order that the customer experiences it in. It's the order that the architect creates it in. Yeah. Jade, thoughts, comments, concerns?
I think my favorite thing about being in the Monkeypod world in general is that not just you, but all of us pop the hood. I was just making a comment the other day to someone who was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I haven't posted in a long time," and I was like, the best gems I've ever learned is from other people's conversations, other people's questions, because when I'm posting or if I have a question, I have my blinders on and I'm just trying to solve a problem, and then you look the other way. But when other people are ideating together and like, oh, have you ever tried this, or look at this thing that you've never thought of, that's by far the value. Like I didn't walk into Monkeypod going, I really wish I could try webhooks. Like someone else, like Greg had a blog post about webhooks, and it was the first time I'd ever tried it. And actually, the first time I ever tried webhooks was making a certificate, like following that video step by step and pausing it and feeling dumb because I'd never done it before. But like, it was, yeah. Other people's stuff is the best part.
I will summarize what Jade just said with curiosity is a superpower. I believe
Yeah.
it. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so it doesn't surprise me that that's been your experience as well. Okay.
Well,
Well, I don't
thanks.
don't have anything else to share. This was a bunch of fun. Thank you both for tuning in and for joining me to help shine lights on parts of this conversation and to poke and prod and ask questions. Thank you to everybody who joined us in the chat. And I think if you have follow-up questions or if you're watching this replay in the future, you can reach out to us through the Monkeypod website. You can email us, admin@monkeypodmarketing.com, or you can join us in the Monkeypod community, ogmembership.com. Cameron?
Nailed it.
Okay.
Nailed it.
Stuck the landing. Couldn't have said
Adios.
it better.
See you, friends.
See you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye. So we're still live, but I'm
We're
gonna dance and
getting,
say that was
because
so
I don't know
good.
where.
I usually fist pump.